Eminem, once hailed as the rap god and the voice of an entire generation, has undeniably seen a decline in cultural relevance and critical acclaim over the past decade. While his technical skills remain unparalleled, his inability to evolve, combined with changing cultural and musical landscapes, has left him struggling to resonate with newer audiences. To understand the phenomenon of Eminem's fall-off, we must delve into the psychology, sociology, and musical shifts that have impacted his career. The curse of the legacy artist. Eminem's early success created expectations that were almost impossible to sustain. Albums like the Marshall Mathers LP and The Eminem Show didn't just dominate the charts, they became cultural touchstones. His raw, unfiltered lyricism, combined with his controversial persona, made him a household name. However, this success came with a double-edged sword. As Eminem matured, the very traits that defined him, shock value, angst, and rebellion, began to feel outdated. Psychologically, this is tied to the concept of identity foreclosure. Eminem cemented his identity as the rebellious, angry underdog early in his career. While this persona resonated with audiences in the 2000s, his refusal to reinvent himself left him trapped in a creative box. His attempts to reignite the same energy decades later feel forced, as audiences have outgrown the issues and themes that once defined his music. Over-reliance on technical skill. Eminem is, without question, one of the most technically skilled rappers in history. His mastery of rhyme schemes, wordplay, and delivery has earned him the title of Rap God. However, as music evolves, technical skill alone is no longer enough to sustain relevance. In fact, Eminem's obsession with intricate rhymes and rapid-fire flows has often worked against him in recent years. Neurological studies on music suggest that audiences prioritize emotional connection and relatability over technical precision. While Eminem's technical abilities are impressive, his recent music lacks the emotional depth and storytelling that once made tracks like Stan and Lose Yourself timeless. Instead, songs like Godzilla and Rap God feel more like exercises in lyrical gymnastics than meaningful artistic expressions. This overemphasis on technique also alienates newer listeners, who prioritize vibe, melody, and relatability over lyrical complexity. Eminem's rapid-fire delivery, while impressive, often overwhelms casual listeners, making his music feel inaccessible to those not already familiar with his style. Cultural shifts and generational disconnect. Eminem rose to prominence during a time when controversy and shock value were central to hip-hop's appeal. His willingness to push boundaries with explicit, violent, and offensive lyrics made him a cultural icon in the 2000s. However, the socio-cultural landscape has shifted dramatically since then. In today's era of heightened social awareness and cancel culture, the themes that once defined Eminem's music are increasingly out of place. Songs that glorify violence, mock marginalized groups, or trivialize serious issues are no longer tolerated in the same way. While Eminem has attempted to address this shift, most notably with tracks like Darkness, which tackles gun violence, his efforts often feel like surface-level nods to contemporary issues rather than genuine evolution. Additionally, younger audiences, who drive streaming numbers and set cultural trends, lack the nostalgic connection to Eminem that his older fans hold. For them, his music feels like a relic of a bygone era, overshadowed by newer, more relatable artists like Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole, and Tyler, the Creator. Eminem's inability to adapt his music to resonate with these listeners has contributed to his declining relevance. The psychology of aging in hip-hop. Hip-hop is a genre that values youth, innovation, and cultural relevance. As artists age, they often struggle to maintain the same level of impact. Eminem's fall-off can be partially attributed to what psychologists call role incongruity. Fans expect older artists to evolve and offer new perspectives, yet Eminem continues to rely on the same themes of anger, revenge, and provocation that defined his early career. This refusal to age gracefully is evident in tracks where Eminem takes shots at younger artists or critics. His 2018 album Kamikaze was essentially a 45-minute rant against anyone who had doubted him. While it showcased his technical prowess, it also highlighted his inability to move past petty feuds and embrace his legacy as a seasoned artist. Instead of offering wisdom and introspection, Eminem's recent music often feels like a desperate attempt to prove he's still relevant. The oversaturation problem. Eminem's relentless output over the past 2 decades has also contributed to his fall-off. While his early albums felt like carefully crafted masterpieces, his recent work often comes across as rushed and formulaic. Albums like Revival and Music to Be Murdered By were criticized for their bloated tracklists and lack of cohesion, making them feel more like content dumps than artistic statements. This phenomenon, known as novelty burnout, occurs when audiences become fatigued by an artist's oversaturation. In Eminem's case, the sheer volume of his releases, combined with their inconsistent quality, has diluted his brand. Fans no longer anticipate an Eminem album with the same excitement, as they've come to expect diminishing returns. Criticisms of lyrical content. Eminem's lyrical content has also come under fire for its repetitiveness and lack of evolution. Early in his career, his shock value and controversial themes felt groundbreaking. But as society has progressed, these same themes now feel outdated and out of touch. For instance, Eminem's continued reliance on violent imagery and misogynistic lyrics feels more like a relic of the 2000s than a reflection of modern hip-hop. While artists like Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole use their platforms to explore complex social issues, Eminem often falls back on juvenile humor and tired tropes. This lack of thematic growth has made his music feel stagnant, especially when compared to his more introspective peers. The role of nostalgia. Eminem's legacy is undeniably tied to nostalgia. For many fans, his early work represents a formative period in their lives, making it difficult to separate their emotional attachment from the reality of his current output. However, nostalgia can only carry an artist so far. As newer generations emerge, they lack the emotional connection to Eminem's past work, making it harder for him to sustain a fanbase. From a psychological perspective, nostalgia relies on emotional memory rather than objective quality. While fans may continue to revere Eminem's early albums, this reverence does not extend to his newer releases, which lack the same cultural impact and emotional resonance. Conclusion. A cautionary tale. Eminem's fall-off is not a simple case of declining talent or effort. It's a complex interplay of psychological, sociological, and artistic factors, compounded by a rapidly changing cultural landscape. His inability to evolve thematically, over-reliance on technical skill, and refusal to embrace his role as a legacy artist have all contributed to his decline. While Eminem's legacy as one of the greatest rappers of all time is secure, his current struggles serve as a cautionary tale for artists who fail to adapt. In a genre that thrives on innovation and authenticity, even the most legendary figures must find ways to remain relevant, or risk being left behind. Eminem's story is not yet over, but his ability to reclaim his place in the cultural zeitgeist will depend on his willingness to evolve and embrace the challenges of aging in hip-hop.